من سنتي ما قال النبي هو الصحيح نكاح مبارك
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, brothers and sisters, to this new episode in this series titled Marriage and Divorce. I'm here speaking with Sheikh Haitham Al Haddad, who is a prominent scholar from the West and currently lives in the UK. He is involved in the Islamic Sharia Council in Britain. We have been discussing the very important qualities of a potential wife, and we have been through a few. Sheikh, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So far, the points that we've been through, for example, about Iman, the importance of finding someone who can bear children. We've also been through the point where it's good for the woman to be content with little.
Yeah.
But there might be another quality which we want to talk about, which is being from a good family.
Yes. This is, in fact, a very important quality. A very important quality.
But what does it actually mean?
Yeah. First of all, the Prophet ﷺ in one beautiful hadith said, make a good choice for your offspring. تَخَيَّرُوا لِنُطَفِكُمْ. The literal translation of this hadith, choose the wife that is going to bear your sperm. Yeah, that will have your sperm. Okay? Have your sperm means she will produce the children from your sperm. Okay? تَخَيَّرُوا لِنُطَفِكُمْ.
SubhanAllah, here we see the planning.
Yes. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, فَأَنْكِحُوا الْأَكْفَى. So marry compatible and let them marry from you. Scholars said that this hadith is one of the very founding hadith of this principle. The man should look for the family he is going to marry from. He should choose a family that he is satisfied that his children will be similar to them, or his children will be the children of theirs. Okay? And I think all of us as men have to be aware of this quality. And subhanAllah, it extends to so many things in our life. For example, I am a man, would like to get married, so I found a very beautiful sister. I should think, as the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned, تَخَيَّرُوا لِنُطَفِكُمْ. I should think that, okay, she is going to be the bearer of my children. Her family are going to be the family of my children.
Of course.
Her father will be the grandfather of the mother side of my children. Whether I like it or I don't like it. My children will consider that family as their family. They are not only my children.
True.
Okay? Now I need to ask myself, am I happy to have her brothers as the maternal uncles of my children? Her sisters, the maternal aunts of my children? Her grandfather, her grandmother. Many brothers in some cultures have problems with their mother-in-law. Yeah? With their mother-in-law. They have a problem with it. My mother-in-law is who? It's not just any woman in the street. She's the mother of my wife. No. More importantly, she is the grandmother of my children. So my children will say to me, Dad, and they will say to her, Grandmom. They need to look after her as well. Okay? Am I satisfied with her as my mother-in-law, as the grandmother of my children?
So this is very important because it's to do with the nurturing and the growing up of your children.
No, see, this is one point. What I mentioned is one point, just the satisfaction. Maybe the way they come from, their background, their social status, their family, the name of the family, it is my decision. I want to get married. I should not look for the wife only. And by the way, I am mentioning this and I'm stressing on this because so many problems happen between husband and wife because of the in-laws. Many brothers, we have to be careful about this point. Many of the brothers, when they get married to their wives, then because of whatever reason, he doesn't like her family. And because he doesn't like her family, he might influence his children not to tie the ties of kinship with their grandparents. Yeah? The grandfather and the grandmother. And he might even start to speak against her mother, her father, her parents. I always receive this in the Islamic Sharia Council. And sometimes the sisters, they say, okay, he got married to me, he knew about my parents, so if he was not happy with my parents, so why did he marry me?
Say it back then, don't say it now.
Exactly, and don't think, and this is what I want also my brothers to consider, don't think that you can separate your wife, the daughter, from her family.
No, and it's not fair.
It is not fair, it is not possible, your wife will not accept it, the society will not accept it, Allah will not accept it. Okay? So this is quite important. So it is the decision of the man, as I said. Think about her family. They are going to be your extended family, or they are going to be the family of your children. Are you happy with this or not? Don't say to yourself that I'll get married to her and later I will disconnect her from her family. This is unfair, and it will never happen. It will never happen. Your children, once they grew up, they will say, what about our grandfather, grandmother? What about them? We want to visit them. They might see you as a father, okay, as an obstacle in their life.
The mother's family on the one side and their father on the other side.
Yeah. So don't do this. This is life. I have children. I got married. The same thing will be repeated to my daughters. My daughters will get married. So there will be a man who is married to my daughter as I am married to my wife. Now, the man who is going to marry my daughter, he will look at me as I am looking at what? My father-in-law.
Exactly.
I will be in the same position. He will see my wife as I am seeing the mother of my wife. I hope this is clear for my brothers in particular. Okay? Because there are so many problems due to ignoring this reality.
So we need to look at the whole family structure,
The whole family
rather than just an
structure,
individual.
as we said in the very first episode, that marriage helps us to build societies.
It's the cornerstone.
It is the cornerstone. And through marriage, you build networks. So you like it, you don't like it, you become part of a network. Okay? There are many consequences because of this. So this is one point that we need to put in mind when we discuss the issue of looking after the family you are going to marry from. The other thing is, the family that I'm going to marry from, they will have impact on my children, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. In fact, they might just have some features from their mother's side. They will have some elements of their character from their mother's side.
True.
Yeah? Through inheritance. They will also visit their family. Am I happy for my children to pick from them? Now, many people say, no, these are my children. I don't want them to be influenced by their parents, by their grandparents. This is true. But what to do if your choice was wrong in the first place?
Exactly.
Don't ask your children to cut off the relationship with their grandmother, grandfather. In fact, I always tell the brothers that, listen, in Islam, the habana, the custody of your children, if there is a divorce or there is death, goes to the mother. After the mother, according to the opinion of many scholars, her mother will gain the custody of your children.
Subhanallah.
Okay, are you happy with this or not? The other point that we would like to discuss is, you know, some genetic issues, they might be passed to your children. Are you happy with this or not? Okay, are you happy with this or not? Again, it is your decision. later on, when you have children, don't say, well, I'm not happy with this. Or don't say to your children that you picked this bad habit or you inherited this bad habit from them. This will hurt your wife and will hurt them and will spoil the relationship with your in-laws.
Yeah.
And no need to spoil that relationship.
No. And you knew who you were choosing in the first place.
Exactly, that is the point. If that is the point, okay, if you knew this, then don't blame anyone but yourself.
So you have to decide there and then, once you know, am I going forward with it or not?
Yes. And so I always say to young brothers, don't be overtaken by the look of the potential wife. Just look at the whole issue. It is your decision.
The bigger picture.
The bigger picture, okay? Now, there are the other side of the story. What is the other side of the story? That normally girls pick certain qualities or most of their qualities from their parents. Yeah? So, if I see a girl, a potential wife, as we said, we need to check her iman, her character, some of her qualities. And we said, how are you going to evaluate this? Through the experience you have with her family or through doing homework, searching about her family, the qualities of her family and the extended family even in some circumstances.
SubhanAllah. As we continue the discussion, we'll try and find out what ways can this be done.
Yes, inshallah.
Please join us after the break. We will continue the important discussion about the certain qualities when looking for a potential wife. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The students of Islamic International School, Chennai.
Islam, the religion of peace. Islam is the only solution to the problems of humanity.
The Islamic Sharia is complete, it's perfect.
Vision focused, faith firm.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, enter into the religion of peace, Islam.
We are the followers of the religion of peace.
Ability outstanding.
The Quran, from cover to cover, is a message of peace.
And the last and final instruction manual for the human beings. It is the glorious Quran.
Watch Wafa Sarfaraz, Zunaira Ayman, Sahib Saib, Nashin Zara, Hasib Khan, Fahad Abdur Rahman, Rida Tabassum, Sayyid Zaid, and Abid Baris.
La ilaha illallah. There is no deity worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
As these righteous and dedicated dais from Islamic International School, Chennai, present the way to achieve true success in Ambassadors of Islam, tonight at 7:30 p.m. and repeat telecast at 10:30 a.m. Saudi Arabia on Peace TV. Stories of glory. From a habitual stammerer to a spectacular orator, couldn't even confidently say his name. Zakir could not even dream of speaking in front of 25 people. Biznillah, by the will of Allah. Now has more than 100 million viewers. Spellbinding several millions of his fans and driven tens of thousands to turn falsehood to ashes and accept the truth. He is Dr. Zakir Naik, a passionate dai. His passion, dawah. His dream, peace in every home. Enthused with a blazing flame of Iman, the unstoppable. Conferred and honored with multiple international awards for his dawah endeavors worldwide.
Looking into your eyes, mysteriously bright. Think I'm gonna go nowhere else for just a little while.
Dr. Zakir Naik, Chairman of the IRF Educational Trust and President of the Islamic Research Foundation, Mumbai.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, brothers and sisters, where we are now talking about the very important issues when looking for a potential wife. And we are now on the topic of the importance of looking for a good family as well.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Let's continue with this topic, good family.
Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. I said there is another angle that we need to consider when we look for a potential wife, which is the character of her family. As we said previously, that you need to check the character of your wife. You need a wife that has good character. Yeah? We spoke about having a cheerful face, having a loving nature, the ability to bear children. So these elements, how do we know about these elements? By looking at her family. Sometimes you need to do your homework, maybe ask your mother to go and see her. We will talk about these things, ask some relatives to go and see her, but you need to look at her family. I'll give some examples, and those examples are real life examples, and I know that some of them are maybe sensitive issues.
And these are cases you've seen back home in the UK?
This is from experience. I'll give you some examples. Some sisters, they know how to look after their husbands. Normally they picked this from their mothers.
She's the role model for them.
She is the role model for them. Because, see, children are programmed. Children are programmed. How are they programmed? Yeah? In the very beginning stage of their life, they are programmed. So, the young girl sees that her mother looks after her father. How? When he comes home, she goes to receive him with a cheerful face. So now the young girl knows that this is how it is. Yeah? She automatically picks this up. Yeah? Without knowing, she picks this up subconsciously. She knows that her mother, for example, always speaks highly of the father. Yeah? So now the girl, again subconsciously, knows that this is the model. She knows that her mother used to have sabr. She never complained. Yeah? She knows that her mother lived as a wife for a long time. So now the young girl knows that the model is to live with your husband.
And a successful formula.
A successful formula. And this brings the issue of marriage breakdown. I am mentioning it honestly. If you get married to a sister from a broken family, then you as a man, you have to take that into consideration, and your wife knows that model. This is the model that is in her subconscious. She might be influenced by that in her subconscious.
You can be influenced in a positive way. It can also be negative.
In a negative way. Okay? Imagine if the potential wife has a broken family. Her parents were separated, divorced. Her sisters were separated as well. Then what does that mean? It means that the model of the marriage in her mind is this one. She is ready for marriage breakdown.
This is what she's used to.
Because this is what she's used to. And now for sisters, if you get married and you came from a broken family background, you need to put extra effort in order to balance this subconscious mindset that you have. Okay? You need to put extra effort. Now, in some cultures, and this might lead us to the discussion about compatibility. In some cultures, people in general are generous. And it is very embarrassing for me as a man, yes, as the head of household, not to say, welcome to my house to my friends whenever I see them. This is the norm in some cultures. Now, women who were brought up in such cultures are used to it. Now, if a man marries a sister from another culture,
Who is not used to it.
who is not used to it, and then every time he's bringing a guest without informing her, without planning, she might go mad. She might go mad. And the opposite, by the way, wallahi, I remember I was in Sudan. I took my, as I mentioned earlier, my first Sharia degree from Durman University. So I am exposed to the Sudani culture. A friend of mine, he is living in Sudan now. He is from a Palestinian background, but he lived in Sudan. He became Sudani nationality, etc. I asked him one time, yeah, I said, why didn't you marry a Sudani lady? He said, wow, no, I'm not used to that culture. I said, what do you mean? He said, okay, I'll give you an example. The Sudani people are very generous, very cheerful people, very connected. So he said, their nature, that those who live in the capital, Al-Khartoum, they should receive, and they happily receive guests from their relatives, yeah, who live in the suburbs or in the towns, other towns. He said, their houses are never been empty. This is their culture. This is the cousin of my cousin, the relative of my cousin, and they are well connected. He said, I cannot bear this. It is not my culture.
Something he needs to think about.
It is his decision. And I think he took the right decision. Because it is very embarrassing for any of them, as a man, to be called by some relatives from the town telling you that they are going to stay in Khartoum for maybe a few days or maybe a week or so, and they will stay in your house. They are used to it. Okay? This person is not used to this. So what will happen?
Might cause conflict.
It will cause conflict. I want my brothers and sisters to put that into consideration. And this discussion is quite important. Why? Because the young brothers and sisters, they don't take this into consideration. And when their parents, listen to this, please. When their parents take this element, the cultural background, into consideration, the young brothers and sisters will not be happy. And the parents will always say that, listen, my son, listen, my daughter, that you are not the one who is going to marry, or you are not the only one who is going to marry. You are going to marry this girl, and we as a family, we will become relatives, something like this, in-laws. So we will extend visits, we will give gifts, and so on. If there is a huge cultural difference, then it might not work. Now, this will lead us to the discussion about compatibility. Maybe we should discuss the issue of compatibility after we discuss the qualities of the man. But let me round this by saying that, okay, my dear brothers, when you want to get married to a sister, don't just look at her. Look at her and look at her family. And you should expect that some of the qualities that her mother has, your wife will have. Okay? The lifestyle of her parents is likely to be copied into your house. And as we said, that her family will be the grandparents of your children, your own children. So it is your decision, okay? And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, choose the wife who will bear your offspring.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh, for the advice. We've learned many good lessons, and subhanAllah, sometimes I think, even though a lot of this, it's actually common sense if you think about it properly.
Yes.
But we forget to think about it. Sometimes
See, sometimes we might think that Islam is different from common sense. And sometimes it is common sense to you, not to others. And that's why we see problems. If it is common sense and everyone is acting upon this common sense, then we'll not see these problems, okay, or as many problems as we see, okay? But this is the reality. That's why we need to bring this reality forward to our audience.
So I suppose if we're in that situation where we are taking the steps towards marriage, this is the kind of things we need to know and keep in mind.
Yes, yes.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh, for the great advice you've given us.
Barakallah.
Inshallah, this will, I think, apply to all of us and
Inshallah. Jazakallah.
help us in this situation, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair for looking at this episode. I hope you've learned lots of things, as I have, to be honest. And we need to apply this in our daily life. Please join us for the next episode where we will continue with the qualities of the husband, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
نكاح مبارك